Welcome to the Win Make Give podcast. Chad Hyams here, Bob Stewart over there. Bob, how you doing today?
Chad, I'm good. I am good. I won't give you a hard time.
Yeah, you will. You know you want to.
I assume you didn't watch because it ended.
I watched
at 3 a.m. or 2 a.m.
That was the 18-inning game. That was the 18-inning game.
Okay, well then at 1 a.m. or midnight?
It was midnight.
The
Game 7 ended at about 12:15 my time.
Got it.
Yeah.
And you were up watching that?
I was up. It went into extra
Dude, how
innings.
frustrated were you in the 9th inning when they had, those 2 plays in the 9th inning, the catch at the wall, the guy ran over the other guy, and
you knew it was over when the catch happened. It was meant to go a different way at that point. Yet Nita was fast asleep in the bed beside me, Bob, had her noise machine going, and I had the TV on mute, just laying there watching the game in agony, watching it fall apart. Look, folks, again, don't know when it's going to air yet. I've been giving Bob enough of a hard time of the Blue Jays beating the Mariners. I knew I was going to get a hard time today of the Dodgers. Congratulations to all my Dodgers fans. Now go away. Blue Jays did lose it. They lost 2 games at home in 6 and 7. They blew it. I'm not giving the Dodgers credit. The Blue Jays blew it.
they had their closer in the 9th inning with the lead.
Come on, you don't give up a tying home run in the 9th. You don't lead off 3 steps from third base. It was horrible, Bob Stewart. Horrible. So I need to change my mindset, Bob, and we need to talk about something that's going to allow me to get some of my frustration out. And you came up with the topic today, which is?
Well, it's going to be 8 common hurdles that derail our momentum once things are going well, Chad.
Yes.
And I've been seeing this a whole bunch recently. I coach a lot of sales organizations, and it's super common.
Wait a minute. Wait. Time out.
Okay. Time out.
You coach a lot of, there was the pregnant pause there as you were looking for the word. I was sure it was going to be youth basketball, and you were going to use the opportunity to throw it in there for us.
I was going to go.
I had it on my bingo card.
Nope. You're going to have to wait till next episode for that. Well, I don't know. We got a whole episode here. I'd probably sneak it in somehow, but a
lot of people are doing well, and then all of a sudden momentum kind of crashes off.
It's like instead of continuing to do the things that got them to the place they're at, that are tried and true and work to get them there, it's a fascinating deal, Chad. Like they get bored. Maybe they get bored by the monotony of the things that are working. And so they go start looking for something. I don't know. We're going to talk about some of what people do to kind of sabotage that momentum, essentially. Yeah. They go looking for something else, a shiny object. They're easily distracted. They're like, I'm bored now with this. And so we're just going to talk about some of those themes that you and I both see in businesses all the time, where they've gotten to a pretty darn good spot, but the leader kind of, gets distracted, essentially.
Yeah. So audience, this is one of those episodes. We hope when it's over, you say, boy, that didn't do anything for me at all. Right? Because if one of these, if you say, oh crap, that's me that they're talking about. Okay. Hopefully you can survive the landmines or the obstacles that we have coming, the hurdles that Bob has collected for us that derail your momentum once you're going, right? We don't want something on the tracks. We want the train to just keep flowing smoothly, Bob. So let's get going and talk about these 8 hurdles that will derail the momentum we've built up.
All right. First one. You ready? It's shiny object syndrome. And I kind of already alluded to it because it's so common. And Chad, we're in real estate, right? And you and I have been to, I don't know, 100 conferences each, right? And you go to these conferences, and you've both been there as an attendee. We've been there selling things to people, right? And I can't tell you how many times, I did it to people, probably, like convinced them they needed something in their business when their business was already pretty good, and it might have been a distraction. I feel bad. I'm sorry I did that to you. But it people walk in and their credit cards are out, and they walk out of there because they got distracted. They're like, oh, what? You
maybe this will be better, easier, right?
Easier is the thing, right?
Bob, before the term shiny object syndrome came known to me, right? And I don't know how long it's kind of been in the vernacular that's out there. Yet I'm going to completely give Ben Kinney credit for creating literally the shiny object syndrome. As you might remember, I'd have to figure out how many years ago it was. It's probably 2011, I'm going to say. It was at a conference that we were all at. Ben and I at that time were launching the program IMSD, right? Internet Marketing Specialist Designation, where Ben and I were teaching everybody how to break the internet to succeed in their business.
2010, by the way, if just for.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think I was at that conference in 2010. That's the only reason I'm thinking it might have been 11. We actually
11 was way post IMSD. We launched IMSD.
Maybe it was the August event that they had or something. Okay. But okay, so somewhere in there, folks. Bob and I will figure it out after because it won't matter to you guys. We wanted to attract people to our sales booth, Bob. So I was sitting there with Ben and I was like, look, what is of value, right? I don't want people coming to the booth and just getting stupid stuff. I hate getting the trick or treat bag of stupid stuff at the end of a conference. And I'm like, why do I have 17 squishy balls, right? Yeah. I don't need these things.
Squishy ball.
Right? You know what I'm talking, right? So Ben says, I want you to order necklaces that blink. They were literally shiny objects. And Bob, people were flocking to our booth to just grab the shiny object we were giving away. They didn't even want to hear the pitch half the time. We were having to convince them to listen to the pitch. And the year after that, everybody was giving away things that blinked light. I think Ben Kinney created literally the shiny object syndrome. I'm giving him credit for it.
Look, in your business, what happens is listen, when you have momentum in your business, then I don't want to say you become a target, but like people are like, I want to work with that business and you should use my shiny object. And it is aggressive. And I would say, 9 times out of 10, that shiny object is just a distraction. It is not actually going to lead you to more of the thing that you already know how to do and get. Right. So I think that is the number. We see it all the time. Chad, I have a chance to, at kind of our core business, we partner with these new businesses every month, right? And so every month I'm looking at these P&Ls of people and I'm like, tell me a little bit about this one. And they will literally say to me things like, oh, we never really used that. And I'm like, why is it on your P&L? And they're like, well, we got into a year-long contract on it. And I'm like, seriously, you don't use it at all? And they're like, no, we used it for like the first month and it
looked good. How many of you have a Peloton in your home because it looked good, right? And now it's just sitting there not being used. The shiny object syndrome, Bob, you're absolutely right. It's one of the biggest derailments that happen. And Bob, give us a fix, right? If that's something that gets us, we don't want to let that derail us. So give me a fix that we can share with the audience.
I'll give you a fix. Never agree to a year-long contract on a shiny object. If their shiny object is good enough, then you should just consider paying the monthly price to test it out.
There you go.
And I would say do not test more than one shiny object a quarter in your business, Chad.
Yeah, got it.
I see people come to these conferences and they walk out of there with 4 new things that they're going to all go put back into play. And 3 of those things will end up being things on their P&L if they ever partner with our business, where I'll be asking them the question, how do you use this? And they'll be saying, we don't, but we signed a contract for a year.
Bob, the worst thing? Those 4 things they walked out of that conference with, 3 of them are the same and just look a little different, so they shine with different colors.
100%.
Absolutely. Folks, shiny object syndrome. Think of the horse in the horse race. He's got the blinders on so that the horse runs straight and isn't looking at anything that's coming up. When you have momentum, don't look left or right. Keep that focus forward. You don't need to add a new shiny object into your world. Bob, that's a great one to start with. Next.
All right. Number 2, and I'm super guilty of this one, have been throughout my career, comfort creep.
Yes.
Comfort creep.
Explain it to people who don't know what comfort creep might be.
I mean, it's just, as we get successful, it kind of dulls the desire to go and go for that next goal or that next thing, right? And this can be really dangerous if you're the leader of the organization. And because what happens is you get comfortable because you have enough, but the people you're leading, they don't have enough. And if they see you get comfortable and you're not growing that organization anymore, they start to think, how am I going to get to my goals when Chad doesn't even want to grow the organization anymore? I feel like our organization has to be bigger to get to what I want. Yep. Ben's been a master at this. I think he realizes, and kind of a core principle of his for his entire life has been, I have to continue to grow my world so that the people in it can get the opportunities that they need to the size that they need them. Yep. And so he's taken leadership of people really seriously and allowed it to make sure he doesn't get comfortable, because the reality is right now, Ben could go retire on a ranch in Montana, Chad. Now, your goals and my goals that he promised us we could get to as we joined him might not be fully realized yet, but he could go get comfortable but he doesn't, because he realizes that he's leading an organization of people that need his world to be massively huge to get to the worlds that we want to live inside of.
And I remember a time before he was that way, right? I remember a time when he was growing his world because he wanted to get to a certain level, and it didn't matter. And folks, this is not a bad story, right? Because I was in the world at that time, yet my goals started pushing against the borders of what he was providing, which is what motivated my transfer at a time into another opportunity and going down another path. And then I've looked back and watched him do exactly that and say, wait, I have talent. I have to keep growing bigger so the talent wants to stay here for the opportunity that's provided. Folks, comfort creep, that's the thing when you look in the bank account and you see enough, right? What's enough? Because who knows what's going to happen tomorrow in your world? Who knows who in your world's going to need help? Who knows what new goal you all of a sudden have where you need more for whatever reason? It's not a greed money thing that I'm talking about in that regard. Yet when you think you have enough, lost enough weight, run a certain speed, enough money in the bank, whatever that is, you get that comfort creep that starts to come in, which you sit on the sofa for an extra minute. You relax just that little bit longer. Your lunch breaks become a little longer.
Oh, for an extra minute. So instead of 30 minutes on the sofa, it's 35.
Now you're 35 minutes on the sofa, right? You're giving yourself those extra minutes, and it's because you're comfortable. Instead of saying, whoa, I have to push my goals farther, right? I just taught a class about this recently, Bob. If you get to your goals, shame on you. You set your goals too low.
So, Chad, my wife told this story. I don't know if you've heard it, but I tell it all the time. My mom had a really amazing first year in real estate sales. And
that should be a bingo square too. You tell us about Gail all the time.
Well, so I'm not going to use my son this time. I'm going to use my mom. But she did 79 real estate transactions in a year in 2017. That's lot impressive for your first year. Super impressive. Like if you guys you're not in the real estate industry and you listen to the podcast, like the average agent with 10 years experience does like 10 transactions, and Gail in her first year did 79. But her goal to start that year was 40.
Right.
And by the way, she could have, at some point in March or April, she could have been like, oh, I'm good. I'm easily going to hit this goal. I can take the foot off the gas and I can coast the rest of the year into 40 transactions. Right. And by the way, she probably then would have thought that's her, she would have established this artificial cap on herself and always thought but she moved the target. Like in March of that year, she moved the target from 40 to 80.
Yep.
And she didn't hit it, by the way.
She
only got 79, but still, right? She could have let comfort creep happen and she probably would have done 40.
Yes, absolutely. Comfort creep, folks. It is complacency with a fancy title. Don't let it creep in anywhere in your world. All right, Bob, number 3 on the list you put together for us.
Look, as number 3 is you delegate without oversight. And we call this, you stop inspecting what you expect.
Yes. You just grow too fast, right? You just start giving people things to do and you're not really paying attention.
Yeah. You think they're doing the job. And we see this all the time too, where it's like, man, business owner comes in, they're thinking about partnering with us. Now, because part of our process requires that they kind of, look back and take real stock in where the business is, both financially and operationally. And they start to realize, oh my gosh, like we don't manage transactions the way I thought we managed those transactions. Right. We don't track and report in the business the way we thought that we did, because I'd given that job to somebody 2 years ago and I've been overdoing this job, but I never inspected the work that they were doing. And man, especially the larger your organization is, obviously the more challenging this is, but this is a really, this can creep up on you really fast, Chad. And you turn around and a year later, you're like, oh my goodness, not only have we stopped our momentum, we're in a free fall backwards slide here because the people I thought were doing the jobs weren't necessarily doing them.
Yeah. And Bob, it's a simple fix. Actually, it's accountability, right? It's at first daily accountability if you need it, right? Make sure that person's understanding what they're supposed to be doing. Then you can back it off to weekly accountability. You could probably back it off to monthly accountability. Then maybe you might be able to back it off to quarterly accountability, depending what that thing is you've leveraged off. And then at some point, you might not need to hold them accountable anymore, right? Ben doesn't necessarily need to sit down with you anymore and say, Bob, did you hit this metric? Because it's just been something he was with you for so long. He knows you're going to hit it again and again and again, that it's not usually an issue. Yet, folks, too many times we want to just give it to someone else and assume, we know what happens when you assume it's going to be done right. And we never look back at it again. And all of a sudden we get back a mess if we get back anything. Okay. All so right. That's 3. Or
all right. Next up is like over hiring or over expanding, like doing it too fast or haphazardly or out of control. And I think of the funny story Ben kind of tells where he was like early in his real estate career and he realized like, wow, I can't manage all these leads. I can't go on all these appointments. And so he went out and he hired fast. And he talks about, he just went around his office, and he hired, and he tells the joke, he'd hired the guy that would always be out smoking, Chad, and he'd hire the lady that, was always practicing her listing appointment, but never had a listing appointment to go on. And he just found anybody that could put fog on a mirror and he brought them in. He didn't necessarily train them right. He didn't necessarily, qualify them, like were they even kind of qualified to fit into his culture. He just went out and grew because there was this momentum in his business. But 6 months later, he'd look up and realize almost all of that momentum was wasted because the people he went and brought in were not the people he needed to go continue the motion or to continue the momentum.
Absolutely.
So that's on like kind of in our world, the W-2 or the 1099 side where you think to yourself, oh, there's not a lot of cost associated with bringing that person in. You're actually wrong. There's a incredible amount of cost, especially from just a mental energy side of things, right?
Yeah, not financial cost, an emotional and energy cost.
Here's the other over hiring, like on the 1099 side of the business is also, in fact, again, we look at a lot of businesses every month as we look at who we're going to partner with. And the number one, like kind of over expenditure in almost all of these businesses, Chad, is headcount, is staff. Right. Yeah. They are doing, it's like it. So as we were building the business, it took us one person to do 10 widgets. And now we think because we're at 100 widgets, we need 10 people to do 100 widgets. We found zero efficiencies in the business as we went from 10 widgets to 100. Right. We just hired another head every 10 widgets. And in a lot of businesses, that's unsustainable. And it's also the thing that all of a sudden we look up and we're like, man, the business momentum from the sales side is moving, but our revenues aren't up. Like we're actually adding expenses kind of on par with the revenue that we're adding. And so our business is not in a forward motion anymore. It's actually stalling out.
Bob, there are so many companies that grew too fast and collapsed because of it, right? Whether that's staffing, whether that's expansion. Think about, I don't have the data in front of me yet. Starbucks showed up on literally every other corner. And then a few years ago, what did they do? They had a massive closing of a huge percentage of their stores because they realized we've overexpanded and we've saturated the market that now we're just taking from each other. And like you said, we're not being efficient. All these people could drive to this one store instead of having 10 stores in these 10 square
that's a great
blocks.
Example.
Right? Think about Blockbuster. Think about WeWork, the companies that just kept growing and growing and were popping up everywhere and now don't even exist anymore. And then you're going to get some that understaff almost on the same way, right? They grow so fast, but they're not willing to bring the people on. Folks, watch yourself. Bob's bringing up a great point. Watch yourself of overhiring and just saying, come on, especially if I got to write you a paycheck, not you're an independent contractor and you got to come on and earn it. Watch that and watch all of a sudden saying, oh, we're doing great here. Let's just keep growing and growing and growing, because all we're doing is spreading that dough thinner. And then all of a sudden the holes start to form in it as we're pulling it out.
Chad, I'm going to take us slightly out of order here. I want to take the next one. I'm going to take, like, we have a blindness to the numbers or the data of our business.
Yes.
And I want to take that one up, because sometimes, especially with entrepreneurs, right? You guys are out hustling, you're doing the work, and like the revenue's showing up, but you don't actually know how the revenue, you don't know the sales funnel. You don't know the mathematics of why the revenue shows up necessarily. You just know, man, I'm just working 10 hours a day, man. I'm out here doing it, right? And the reason because a lot of times, like, as you expand, it's driven by revenue. It's driven by, like, in our industry, GCI, how many units, how much GCI are we bringing in? And if I don't have really good business data, I may be making decisions based on revenue instead of on profit. Right? Like, if every dollar of revenue leads me to another dollar of expense, and there's actually no profit there, was that smart revenue to go chase? We spent all that energy. We had momentum chasing revenue that was more economical, and now we're chasing it at $1 for every cost. Like, if you don't have data to show you this, right, it's really hard, and it can grind momentum to a halt, because the entrepreneur, especially as you expand and you hire or you bring people in, right? You're thinking, and this never happens, by the way, well, they'll do what I did, right? No, you're the business owner. You're the entrepreneur. You're the one that started this thing. You're the one with the passion for it. You're the one willing to work 10 hours a week. That next hire is not going to do the kind of revenue that you did.
I hope you meant 10 hours a day, because I'll take the 10-hour-a-week job.
Did I say a week? Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. Here's the thing, folks. The fix for both of these that Bob was just talking about, the overhiring, overexpanding, and this data blindness, the fix is the same. You've got to track those KPI, those key performance indicators, and one of those needs to be profit, right? Not revenue, profit, because that will help with the overexpansion situation, and that'll help you know it. Bob, the reason I think we get data blindness, as you've called it, is because things are going well. We just trust our gut, right? We just say, oh, well, it's working. Okay.
Yeah, my bank account has money in it at the end. We see this all the time. And so real estate has this kind of interesting nuance in it, Chad, where, you can run an entrepreneurial business as a team, but you get two paychecks out of that. You get a paycheck from your efforts in that business, and you get a paycheck from the business itself. Right. And you would be you wouldn't be, but I think the average person listening would be blown away by how many of those business owners do not actually know the numbers of those two businesses they run. Yes. And what ends up happening is they use all the revenue, all the profit that comes from their own side, and it funds the business. And so they might as well just give the business up. Like, literally, if they gave the business up their own personal production, they would actually be a more wealthy human at the end of the year, because they have a blindness to the data. It's actually really, I don't know.
And there's two types of people in the world. There are data nerds, and then there's people who are driven by emotion. Right? You're one or the other. So if you're a data nerd, this might not be that thing. You might be going, yep, I got away with that one. I track my numbers to a point that I'm overly obsessive with them. I'm like Bob Stewart. I sit there and I know the numbers down to, oh, that's a 0.3% in that situation. If you're not a data nerd, you better hire a data nerd as a CFO or a COO in your organization, because that means you're probably running on emotion, which means, forget the numbers. They don't really matter. I'm just going to trust myself. The numbers always matter, because, Bob, the numbers are the only things that don't lie.
Oh, yeah. Drama not data, or data not drama, Chad.
There you go.
Data not drama. This is going to be number six. Number six, we just start ignoring the fundamentals that got us there in the first place.
Like, that's how you open this whole thing, right?
Yeah, we're too good for them. Like, they're beneath us now, Chad. They're beneath us, right? Like, I'm not doing that. I don't do that anymore. It reminds me of the Goodfellas scene where the guy asked Joe Pesci to sign his shoes, and he's like, maybe you haven't heard, I don't shine shoes anymore, right? But like, you're too good to do that work. Yep. That's a killer. That is an absolute killer, especially if you're bringing people into your organization and you're telling them they need to do that work. And they're
what got you here won't get you there is a statement we've all heard, yet that's not talking about the fundamentals, right? You're going to get to a certain place where what got you here, which was you doing all the work, isn't going to get you there, which means you need to hire somebody, bring on people into your organization. Yet that doesn't mean the fundamentals go away, right? What got you here in your health, oh, you were eating right and all that stuff. Okay, you want to lose more, you've got to make a change. It does, but you don't all of a sudden go back to eating junk while you're now adding in weightlifting or something like that. What got you here needs to keep going to help you get there, would probably be a better expression.
It's your foundation, right? Like if the foundation in my business is, once a week we do the community event, and that's where our prospecting efforts happen. Once the business is grown, I don't stop doing the thing that got me there, right?
Yeah.
And as a business owner, look, there is a certain amount as you hire, and again, we leverage those things off. Sometimes we don't check and make sure they're doing it the way we did it before, right? But there are certain things in the business that, like, I don't know that you can ever really give up all the way unless you bring in that champion that you can point to and be like, look, I don't do this anymore because I've earned the right to not have to do it. It needs to be done. Bill's the champion that's going to show you how it's done. Because I think that momentum ceases when there's no longer somebody leading the pack. It doesn't always have to be the business owner, Chad, but the pack does have to have somebody to see that they can go run after.
Yes.
Right?
And you're right. The business owner could transform themselves into another position in the organization, yet there needs to be somebody who, you're right, they're always chasing, always being.
Somebody has to be showing up every day and doing the fundamentals that does them really well. So the rest of the organization's bought in on the idea that in order to succeed here, we have to do the fundamentals.
Yeah. Ben and Jerry are no longer working at Ben and Jerry's, yet someone has shown up to make the ice cream the way Ben and Jerry made the ice cream. Because if someone doesn't make the ice cream,
the whole thing falls apart.
The whole thing falls apart, people. And I like my ice cream. All right. Bob Stewart. Give me one more, then I'll see that I can do the recap before we hit the last one of the day.
All right. We start to isolate ourselves as the leader. We start, and look, I think this, I don't know where it comes out of ego a little bit, maybe, Chad. It comes out of feeling like nobody knows what I'm going through. They don't know how hard I work to get here. Like you start to isolate yourself, and you really feel like you have to make every decision. You essentially, you don't take feedback anymore very well because you're isolated from the team. I think that the fix here is to find mentors, Chad. Find other people doing the thing I've done that are already to the next stage of where I want to go, right? Because, well, I don't know, unless you're like Elon Musk going to Mars, like just about everything that you might be trying to do, somebody else has went out and done that thing before, in just about any industry that we're in, right?
Yep. Bob, not only mentors, we need a board of directors. And maybe we'll do an episode on that shortly of, filling in those seats of what a board of directors would truly look like, because those are the people who aren't going to take your BS, right? Those are the people who, when you say, I'm doing the best I can, they're going to say, Bob, we know better than that, right? They're the ones that are going to say, you can push harder, or we know you're just blowing smoke with that answer right there. They're going to give you the truth. And I believe everybody probably needs a strong board of directors. I think we did an episode a long time ago about it, yet I think it might be time to redo that one. So going into the new year, people can start to build their board of directors and have those people around them.
I like that. Like you said something in there, like they can permission to tell you the truth. Like, I don't know. Have you, like, I would imagine these days, Chad, you don't have many people left in your world that you coach that, like, you can't tell the truth to because they just, it wrecks them or whatever. But like, have you had those types of individuals over the years where you coached them, but you knew you couldn't really drop the truth on them because it would hurt their feelings? Or
no, because when I do an introductory call with people before I let them hire me as a coach, I say, I am going to make you cry because I'm going to tell you things you don't want to hear. Are you sure you want this? Right? I'd prefer to weed them out at the beginning.
Good takeaway close there.
Folks, don't ever ask me a question that you don't want the answer to, because I don't care enough to hold back, because I care so much about you, even if I don't know you, because I want you to hit your goals. I'm not going to let you hide behind that stuff.
Oh, you missed it. You missed a really good tie-in. You don't want them to hit their goals. You want them to achieve their apex.
Oh, Bob Stewart.
Bob Stewart.
You get your copy
go
on
pick up Chad's book if you haven't yet.
Okay, so thank you, Bob Stewart. All right, so look, we've talked about some of the hurdles that are going to derail momentum once you've got it. And I'm hoping none of these have connected with any of you so far. And you're sitting there going, nope. Here we go. The shiny object syndrome, comfort creep, delegation without oversight, overhiring and overexpanding, data blindness, ignoring fundamentals, ego or isolating yourself. And Bob, you put together this list for us to work from today. So give me number 8 on the list.
I mean, number 8 is just, you kind of lost sight, Chad, of why you're even doing this to begin with. And I think, super easy, right? Like the mission gets blurry because the bank account all of a sudden has a bunch of zeros in it, right? And it can get easy to lose track of why you do this. Like, why does Ben do everything that he does? Because he massively, like, underpinning everything, believes in the value of home ownership. And he thinks that we have a mission to transform how easy and accessible home ownership is. And as somebody that grew up, and for me personally, moving between a lot of rental properties, raised by a single mom, and Ben grew up in the little 400 square foot cabin with his dad where he slept on half a couch and it was rented. These are, like, whenever we get mired down by the things, like Ben and we have that North Star to go back to remind us why we do this. Why are the fundamentals important? They're important because if we keep doing them, we do believe that we can lead more people to become homeowners. And so why did you start? My mom, and I go back to her story, and I'll use it again because it's on your bingo card. Her reason why was to put her grandkids through college, and that, when she was at 40, she could have, and she'd hit her goal and it was March, or she was seeing her goal in sight in March, she could have let comfort creep in. She could have not realized all the data and what work it was going to take to get there. And if she forgot why she was doing this, Chad, she might have just been okay with 40. Yep. Right now, hers was strong enough that she's never going to forget it. It gets her up every day out of bed. But, like, why do you do this? Why do you do what you do?
That is such a powerful question. And I've been talking with a lot of people about this lately, Bob. And I want to tell people 2 things on that. 1, if your answer is my family, I call BS. Okay? Listen to how Gail put it. It wasn't my family. No, it was specifically, I want to put my grandchildren through college, because she didn't want to have to count on the parents coming up with the money or the kids having to go get loans. She knew specifically what it was. And if I sat down with her and asked what made that important to her, there's probably a story. Either she didn't, or all of her kids did not, and she wants that for them, or at least the option of it. There is something within her. Now, here's the key thing that I want you to hear, folks. Part 2 to this, that most people have the challenge with, is when you hear Bob say, you got to remember why you started and what that motivation is for you. It doesn't have to be forever. Because if Gail looks at it, just to keep using her, and knows, okay, if I have this much in every one of those educational funds, she's probably already funded college for each one of those kids. So she can't say that's still the thing, because she could look at the bank right now and say, done. She has to go out and say, I know why I started. I've achieved it. Now what's next, right? And folks, it's not going to be something forever. You don't worry about getting in shape to have the beach body in November and December. You eat the Halloween candy. You eat extra at Thanksgiving. You pick at the chocolates that are around for Christmas time. It's not until March that you say, crap, it's almost beach weather. I'm going to diet, exercise, all those things.
Wait a minute.
So that
Hold
I'm
on.
ready
This
for the
is all coming together for me now. You moved to Florida so you could have beach weather all year round.
All year!
You would have to stay in shape all year. That's amazing. That's really smart. That's really
It's
smart.
the motivation that sometimes we have. Folks, remember why you started. And Bob and I are going to make sure we are here to keep bringing you lessons along the way, bringing you amazing guests along the way. And Bob, I don't know when it drops, yet I got to know it's close to Thanksgiving.
Okay.
So I want to say this. I'm thankful to you having been one of my partners on Win, Make, Give since the beginning. And I'm thankful to each and every one of our audience members that keeps coming back to learn the lessons with us, share the laughter with us, and share these episodes with so many people that has made Win, Make, Give multiple millions of downloads and one of the top ranked podcasts that's out there. And that's thanks to our audience and having you as a partner.
Chad, thank you for that. I want to thank you because I know how important your marriage is to you.
Yes.
I get a little bit emotional on this stuff. I don't know.
Yes,
why.
you do. You did last week too.
Hey, I know how important your marriage is to you, and I know today is your anniversary. And so the fact that you took some time away from your beautiful wife, Nita, to come over here and hang out with me and do a little Win, Make, Give episode on your anniversary is super special. I'm honored to have spent the time with you here. But let's get you out of here. Let's get you back to Nita, because I'm sure that she is like, what are you doing on the Win, Make, Give podcast? It's our anniversary. So appreciate you, brother. Enjoy your anniversary this evening.
I will. Thank you very much. And audience, if this is Thanksgiving, heck, even if it's not Thanksgiving, we're still thankful for each and every one of you. So go out there, do what you do, learn from the lessons Bob and I hopefully have shared with you today. And until our next episode, as always, do good.